And you're live.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Fantastic 40 Masters of Marketing Roundtable Web Mega Event, or Mega Web Event, whichever way you want to put it. Do not pay attention to this lower third right here. This is Alan Bechtold. I'm stealing John Rizzo's spot right now because we're sharing a camera tonight. I'm actually sharing space with him this evening, and we just thought we'd switch chairs rather than tie up another level of bandwidth trying to get two people on. We've got a great lineup tonight. We're going to be covering traffic, driving people to that funnel, making them want to join your list, making them, traffic is everything. You hear that. If content's king, the whole purpose of the content's to get the traffic. So we'll be looking at a lot of the different types of content that can best drive traffic. And we've got a bunch of great questions already in hand. So I know the panel is going to be challenged, which is good because that used to mean something different when I was in school. In this case, it'll be challenging fun, I guarantee you. And I want all of you to take notes, listen carefully. I think probably best is we might just want to start, Zane, going down the line and let everybody introduce themselves. That'll give me a quiet way to slip out and let the real John Rizzo step in when it's his turn. What do you think?
Sounds like a very clever plan.
Clever. Like it. It's called Seat of the Pants plan, and it's working. We'll go with it.
All right, yeah. Let's roll with it. So, there's a show. My name is Zane Miller. I'm the producer. I'm the guy behind the scenes. So, think of me as the guy in the control room, camera 1, camera 8, camera 6, that kind of thing. So, it's my job to make sure that you have an interesting experience. You have something to look at. So for those of you in the panel, if you want to share your screen at any given point, if you want to show something, by all means, go ahead. I will be pointing the camera at that, and everybody will be able to watch and participate. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in. So starting off, I can see in the panel here, Bob, will you help me out with your last name? I don't want to...
Yeah, it's Bob Regnerus.
Awesome. Why don't you tell us a little bit about you and your business?
Thanks, Zane. And Alan, of course, thanks for putting this all together. My name is Bob Regnerus. I'm also known as the Leads King. I've authored a number of books. One of them is called Big Ticket E-Commerce. I've also authored a book called The Best Business Card on the Planet. And Alan and I have helped a number of people become famous writing a book. But I focus in on paid traffic. I help clients sell things in shopping carts and generate leads and generate sales. I've been doing it for about 12 years now. And I've got clients all over the globe, spoken on many stages about the topic of generating leads and generating sales for your e-commerce site. So tonight, if you have questions on Facebook, Google AdWords, Twitter advertising, those are the things that I'm focusing on these days, and having some really great success with clients who are anywhere from startup to million-dollar businesses. So I've got all and in between. So I'm looking forward to the call tonight. Hope you all enjoy the content.
Awesome. That's great to have you here. And well, all these people are awesome. You're gonna hear me say awesome a lot. So, next up we have Gene Pimentel. Gene, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your business?
Okay. Thanks, Zane and Alan, for having me on this. This is great. I'm looking forward to the session. I'm from Oswego, New York. That's way up near Lake Ontario, and that's where we make snow. We have a ton of snow up here. I've been up here for, 8 years or so. Me and my wife, we live here with our 3 furry cats. I'm originally from Cape Cod, Massachusetts, and that's where I'm headed eventually, back to Cape Cod. But one of my favorite places on earth. But my background is in offline marketing, advertising, printing. I used to have a mail order company that sold many types of business services through the mail. And eventually, that was back in the late 80s, and I came onto the internet about 1996. Right now, I specialize in the domain name aftermarket. That means investing in and flipping domains for profit. Not websites, just domains. And I speak at different events. And I'm just looking forward to answering some questions tonight. So that's about it for now.
Great, awesome. Great to have you here. And next up, we have John Rizzo. John, welcome to the call. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your business?
Thanks so much, Zane. And I just want to say thanks to you for pulling all this together behind the scenes, and to Alan here and Heather as well for doing a great job the past few nights and just making this event happen. Alan had contacted me about the event, and it was something that beforehand we had run a trial run on Google Hangouts, and he had my face up on the screen the entire time, so I'm hoping that you're a little better at switching back to the people who are talking. But yeah, my background, I got started online about 8 years ago. When I was finishing out my senior year, I just started working on projects with nonprofits and local businesses in Charleston, South Carolina, where I live. And at the time, ended up picking up a job with Amazon.com, their local publishing group in Charleston. Spent 3 years working for them, and kind of coming home after the 9 to 5 and building my business and learning different skill sets. And about 4 years ago, I went full-time consulting and digital marketing online, and every day is a new learning experience for sure. The past year we've spent, in addition to the consulting, building a video marketing platform for entrepreneurs that allows them to integrate calls to action, integrate different strategies right into their videos to help with their conversion. So I'm just excited to be here, and I've enjoyed being behind the scenes and working with you, Zane, and like I said, just being a part of this great panel, people I've followed for years and bought product from.
Great to have you on the Hangout with us, and very cool software. And I think it's pretty cool that you are the official sponsor as well. So
it is invids.com as well, as you can see there. So when you get a chance, check it out.
Did I see a T-shirt?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Let's see it. Nice.
Right,
oh, all right. Okay. Send one this guy's way.
Right? Oh yeah, you got one coming your way.
All right, cool. Thanks. So next up on the panel here, we have Justin Sardi. Justin, why don't you go ahead and unmute yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself and your business.
Yep, definitely. And thanks for having me. Is my mic working?
Yeah, coming in loud and clear.
Cool. All right. Yeah, like Zane said, my name's Justin Sardi, and my background is in construction management, actually. And I quit my job exactly 2 years ago, pretty much. I just did not like having a job. Started an offline business with a buddy of mine, and took on a few clients. Started out that way, then moved into creating info products because clients were, kind of a pain, I guess. But created some info products for a while, and still do that. I focus on YouTube and paid traffic, mostly YouTube ads. And since recently, I have actually taken on more clients with the YouTube ads thing because it's actually really effective, and we've been getting great results. People love it. It's an easy sell. So really, that's what I focus on now is YouTube ads and selling things online.
Great. Yeah, I can tell you, Justin. I've had a couple of conversations with Justin because AdWords for video is cool, but it's got a lot of details. Personally, right? Like I'm a big picture guy, so any kind of details, I'm like, oh no. So Justin helps set me straight and has made my YouTube ads much more effective when I run YouTube ads. So it's great to have him here. It'll be interesting to get sort of a cross viewpoint between AdWords and AdWords for video with Bob and Justin. So see where it goes from there. Onward, upward, and onward. We have Lee. Lee, why don't you tell us a little bit about you and your business?
Hey, how's it going? Lee Collins here. I've been in marketing of some way, shape, or form since about 2001 when I created my first business. Focused a lot on information products, and in 2007 I created something I call hybrid marketing. And hybrid marketing is about online plus offline mixed together. So I love to merge online and offline together to create traffic and to create sales. The big thing I've been focused on the past 4 years is kind of a hiatus from my own business and focusing on helping other people with their businesses. So fixing profit leaks, integrating systems and processes within other people's businesses, and generally just going out there, spreading the love, helping people, and sharing the insight that I've gained over the past few years. So very happy to be here. I love all you guys. You guys have all inspired me or taught me or mentored me in some way. So thank you for being who you are and for allowing me to sit with you tonight.
Great to have you here, Lee. All right, looking forward to your insight as well. So next up on the panel is Marc Goldman. Marc, I said before that I really liked your custom lower thirds, but this I got to say, you came in with something that really popped. So welcome to the Hangout.
Well, thanks a lot, Zane. I don't know if you wanted to talk to Ross first, but we have similar hairstyles and similar last names, so that might be why you...
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. That was my bad.
You want me to just go, or do you want to...
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Camera's on you.
Camera's on me. Hey, folks, how you doing? Marc Goldman here. Been online since actually 1996. My wife, Terry, and I got started in two-step advertising in the 90s offline, and what that means is we would advertise a product, and many of the people on here know the person who was behind the product that we sold. It's TJ Rohleder. Fantastic guy, fantastic product that he had. And when we were selling it offline, we found out that we would run an ad, we would make people call a voicemail number, and then we would mail a letter to them. So we were really doing well at generating only people who raised their hands and only talking to the most qualified people. We parlayed that into a pretty successful business for newbies, and we managed to actually get people, we were breaking even, and breaking even offline for people fresh out of college who knew nothing about direct mail and direct marketing was a hell of a thing, but I wanted to do more than that. I wanted a profit. So about 1996, 97, I ran an AOL Classified, which can't do anymore. Spent $13 on it and made my first $100 an hour after it ran from a guy in London, England, and I said, the hell with this, throw away everything offline that I had and started to pour everything into an online business. Everything that we do is driven by what customers want, and customer requests. We're really the kings, or at least we try to be, of delivering value to our customers and getting it to them. We started to build a business that was based on software. So it's an e-commerce software package that we called Gold Bar 1. It's just about to come out in its new version soon called Growbizio. And it's everything that you need to get more leads, more traffic, more sales, and more referrals. And we've always built our business through joint ventures. Joint venture marketing, I've actually used that to grow every business that I've ever been in. It's the #1 traffic strategy that I use. I love paid stuff, but I love free stuff, and joint ventures, building relationships is where it's at for me. So I've always believed in putting out the best information that I can, and people ask me to teach them joint ventures. I started to create info products on JVs. Alan Bechtold and I in 2000, and my wife Terry, in 2003, 2004, we ran a seminar totally dedicated to joint ventures. And we've done a lot of things over the years with our business, but it's totally all about relationships. It's relationships with the customers, relationships with our partners, our peers, our vendors. I'm excited to be on the panel with everyone here, and I hope anything that I can answer tonight on joint ventures, on getting people into your funnel, on building relationships and getting people to want to work with you, happy to answer them and happy to be here.
Great. Thank you, Marc. And again, sorry about that. We've got Marc Goldman and Ross Goldberg right next to each other in the panel.
They should got three bald guys together.
Right. I'm about as dyslexic as they get, so I'm like, okay, don't mix those up, and bam, there it is, right? But again, that's why we have an awesome moderator here for us, so that I'm not getting things mixed up. So last but not least, we have Ross Goldberg here. Now, Ross is the guy that that pulled me into this project because he knew that they needed some kind of expert Hangout Wrangler, and that was me. So welcome to the Hangout, Ross. Why don't you tell us a little bit about you and your business?
Thanks for the welcome, Zane. I appreciate it. And basically, I got started, actually it's almost exactly 9 years ago. I went into a coma just after I set up my internet business and made my first $1,000 while comatose. It is something that I don't believe anybody else can claim. It is absolutely true. And since then, I just kind of make a habit of breaking things and doing things people tell me that I can't. I'm a best-selling author, and I run 2 companies. One is a software company focused on project management and traffic generation, and the other is a training company. And my main expertise is basically the ability to teach people how to find their audience, which is what we're here for this evening. So that's what I'm going to be doing, and I really look forward to sharing with everybody else and all of you watching.
Awesome. You know what? You have one of the coolest bragging rights. I've never heard, like, yeah, you know what? I made my first $1,000 when I was not even a part of this world. So all right. So now all of you who are watching live, now we have set the tone. It's time to get started in the actual discussion. But before we do, I would like to have Mr. John S. Rizzo introduce our moderator because, well, I think she needs a proper introduction. So if you would do the honors, John.
Yeah, Heather Vale joining us, who, as I mentioned, has been kicking butt the last 2 nights, really asking some tough questions and keeping everybody on pace here. Let's welcome her to the stage here, and I think she just dropped off as we said that. So,
like, you know what? Do it over again.
There she is.
There she is. Okay. All right. Let's give it another shot. John introduced Heather, so Heather, welcome to the call. Can you hear us? We're coming in all right? Yes?
I think she might be muted still.
Yeah, it looks like she.
Guys, yeah, I just had some problems trying to open the question, so I just installed this thing to allow me to view it, and I dropped off. So I'm back. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. I'm still trying. Zane, if you can send me that question file as a text document right now, that would be awesome.
Yeah, sure. Let me see if I can get Alan or John, since Alan's right there, can you have Alan help us out? Awesome, thank you. So we're gonna get those questions, the questions that we have. I'm actually gonna go ahead and I'm gonna check the YouTube page as well as the event page and see if there's any real-time comments that have come in already until we get the standard questions.
All right, now I do have them on my phone, so we can start with one question at least.
MacGyver, right?
Yeah, right? Yeah. Until MacGyver. Okay, so Luke Pryor from New Zealand would like to know, is Google AdWords still effective today, or should I use Facebook ads? Anyone's an expert in either AdWords or Facebook ads wants to take that first?
I can jump in first and give some comments there. So I have a very, very easy test for clients in regards to whether you want to use AdWords and or Facebook. AdWords is still extremely effective for people that are actively searching for a solution to a problem, or they're searching for your type of service. AdWords is absolutely exceptional for the local business. It drives a lot of people into storefronts in a local community. If you're selling a solution to a problem, AdWords is still the king of the hill. Facebook is also extremely effective, except you're not targeting people who are searching for problems. You're actually targeting people based on who they are, what they like, and so forth. So if you have the type of service, the type of product, where you could target them based on an avatar, meaning you know what they like, you know where they are, you know the things they're interested in, then Facebook is really a mechanism that you can use. So it's really not a question of whether you should use one or both or one or the other. The question really is, what is it that you are selling, and how do people typically search for your product or service, and how do they typically interact with you? Am I actively searching, or can I be passively persuaded to be introduced to you and your business? That's kind of the easy way that I use for people who are asking that question.
Oh, now Heather's with us again. Welcome back, Heather. So Bob just had a very excellent response to the question about Facebook and AdWords.
And I'm back again.
And now we're back again.
I think I'm back again. Anyway, I'm back.
Technology.
All right, I know Ross Goldberg has an answer for this, so let's hear from Ross.
I've got an answer for everything. I'm just trying to be.
I know you do. I know you do.
So, okay, so choosing between AdWords and Facebook, you're actually asking the wrong question. With that kind of situation, if you're going to pay for traffic, you need to make sure it's profitable. I like Facebook better because you can test in much lower dollar amounts. AdWords scares the hell out of me even today, and I'm going to tell you why, and then I'm going to shut up and let someone else talk. So 7, 8 years ago, actually I'm about to hit 9 years, so let's say 8.5 years ago, I decided to try AdWords for my business selling e-commerce products. These were actually mattresses. So I targeted memory foam mattress, and I spent $400 in an hour without getting a single sale. So the problem was that I had no idea what I was doing. I had no guidance. I honestly was still very much a newbie. I had no one to hold my hand, no one to tell me, hey, stupid, don't do that. So I spent $400 in an hour. And I went back and I looked at it and I said, I must be the biggest dumbass on earth. How did I let this happen? And I looked at it and I said, you know what, I'm going to try something else. And I targeted a combination of adjustable bed and the name of the manufacturer. So 50% of the people that called me ended up buying an adjustable bed from me. That was $1,000 profit, and it was costing me a couple dollars a day in ads. And this is, mind you, a very long time ago before AdWords was quite as expensive as it is now. So I was making about $1,000 profit for every $100 that I spent. And it was really funny because the other half of the people that called me really needed technical support for the product. They thought that my 800 number in my ads was indicating that I was the manufacturer, which was not the case. So anyways, my point in telling you that story is it's all about targeting. And Facebook and AdWords, it's exactly the same. If you get your target proper, you can refine a funnel while you're buying traffic and make it work. If you get your targeting wrong, you can never make it work. So that's what I would suggest is if you want to go into paid traffic, understand your demographic, understand your market, understand what they're looking for, understand what they're experiencing, and if you get that, eventually you can't fail. And now I'll be quiet.
Okay. John, Rizzo, you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, just I agree with both of you. The targeting capabilities on Facebook, a little bit cheaper traffic there. With Google AdWords, obviously as more people have gotten into it, the costs have skyrocketed. But I think with AdWords, obviously there's more intent to buy than somebody scrolling through a news feed on Facebook directly. I've found a little bit more success with boosting posts on Facebook versus running traditional ads on Facebook directly. But yeah, I think both guys were spot on with it. That's all I have to chime in there.
I think either Heather is holding us in suspense, or we may have lost. Oh, wait, no, she's back.
So I'm not.
So hey, Heather, you may want to do a quick refresh on your Hangout window because you're coming in a little laggy. This is also a good opportunity for those of you who are watching. This kind of happens sometimes. So just hang with us. Hangouts usually fix themselves, no problem. So I actually was able to pull up the questions here. So if Heather doesn't mind, I'll just go into one of the other questions here, and then we can talk a little bit more. I warn you, I'm not as good as wrangling questions as she is and keeping the comments short, but I'm sure we can all maintain ourselves and not have too winded long of answers. So going into the next question I see here, let's see, would you recommend paid traffic sources to a newbie who is just starting out? If so, how much would be like the first amount of money that you would spend for a newbie, if you did recommend a newbie start with paid traffic? So, well, you know, Justin, you talked about AdWords for video. Would you recommend a newbie starting with paid traffic? And if you did recommend, how much would you recommend them starting out with as far as a dollar amount goes?
I think that it kind of depends on what your goal is, really. So, I mean, if you have something to sell, then yeah, paid traffic is great. But if not, well, like you don't really have a reason to run paid traffic, I guess. So you kind of need that end goal in mind to decide what's gonna, what do you need, or what's your goal, and then work backwards from there. How are you gonna achieve that goal? And if paid traffic makes sense, then yeah. And like you were saying, AdWords for video, you can actually use that and drive, or spend a couple dollars a day and just test some things out. It's extremely cheap right now. It's like AdWords was back in the day. I mean, and it is AdWords. It's AdWords for video. But I mean, you can get views on your videos for pennies on the dollar still. Like super, super cheap compared to AdWords, I mean, for the same keywords. So you can start for cheap. So yeah.
All right. Do you have like a budget that you would recommend for somebody starting out, right? Like Ross had said that he spent $400 in an hour. Obviously, that's not something that a newbie would want to do. So would you have, if it fit that scenario that you were recommending, how much would you recommend them starting out as far as, well, starting out?
If you're just starting out, you can just grab a coupon code from AdWords, and they'll give you $75 right now if you spend $25. And I usually, when I'm starting my campaigns, I'll run anywhere from $15 to $30 a day starting out, just to get some results and see what's going on, if I'm targeting correctly, if I need to make changes, add negative targets, adjust my targeting. And I've seen people start as low as $5 a day. That's where I started when I first started playing around with it. I'd throw $5 here, $5 there, just to see how it worked.
All right, awesome. That's a good recommendation. Bob, you're also an expert in this area. Do you have anything to weigh in on this?
Yeah, we just had this discussion today with a new client. We actually set a budget on Facebook for her. She actually is selling some information to healthcare professionals, and we just started at $10 a day on Facebook. We're targeting a particular group of medical professionals by title on Facebook. Works really well, and we're just going to start with $10 a day. We're going to try to generate fans for her community page, and we're also going to send traffic to her page to download her free book chapter. So $10 a day, to me, at least gives me a pulse on the traffic, lets me know if the targeting is right. I'm looking at CTR, which means click-through rate. I'm looking at clicks to the website. I'm looking at a number of those factors. $10 a day, run it for about 3 or 4 days. We're going to spend about $30, $40. I'm going to get a good sense of how well this targeting is and how attractive the ad and the offer is.
Excellent. Very well said. So does anybody else have anything to weigh in here? Because I got another question right around the corner about
I'll
traffic.
say something.
I would like everybody's thoughts. Okay.
I'll say something about it, Zane.
Lay it on us.
All right, so even though I'm a joint venture guy, I like to mess around in all kinds of areas of advertising, and one thing that I love that both Bob and Ross said was about the targeting. But one thing that I think where Facebook has an advantage is the built-in organic capabilities. So when you start doing like what Bob is doing as a test for the client, you can not only, you're paying for the ads, but if they start liking and sharing, assuming you're doing page post engagement or you're doing, you're paying for likes, as soon as they start doing it, it gets that organic and viral element built into it that you can't get with Google AdWords, unfortunately, at least as far as I know. So to me, that part of it, it adds oomph to your marketing spend. So that's what I like about Facebook. I just wanted to add that.
Very good point. Very good point. And any other thoughts before we go on into another traffic-oriented question?
Yeah, hey, this is Lee, and one of the things I love to do is, paid traffic is fantastic, and depending on where you're sending the traffic, let's say you're using Facebook to drive traffic to a website, $5 to $10 a day is a fantastic place to start, especially for a new person. But one of the things I always recommend, and I'm sure we'll get to retargeting and remarketing at some point in the future, but always set retargeting pixels. That way when you drive your traffic to your website, you can leverage that traffic again in the future. You don't have to have a retargeting ad ready right now. You can set your retargeting ad up later once you know that your campaign's working the way you want it to. So just never waste any traffic is the big key.
Right. No, very, very good point. You don't want to waste any of that traffic because, well, if you're going to be paying for it, then you want to be able to essentially hold it accountable. Then again, you also probably going to want to do the same thing with your organic traffic, but we're all learning anyway. So with that said, we do have our moderator back, Heather. Heather, if you can hear me, go ahead and say you can hear me. Right. You good? Okay. Not quite yet. So with that said, did anybody else want to weigh in? Because the next question is basically, what is your best source of traffic? So unless anybody has anything to add to the paid traffic, I'd like to get a feel for everybody. All right. What do you got, Gene?
I was just going to comment that paid advertising is one of the best sources of traffic you can get, and the beautiful thing about it is it's fast, it's instant, especially with AdWords or Facebook ads. But there's a risk to any kind of paid advertising. So never, spend more than you can afford to lose on paid advertising until you do some initial testing. Start small, like Bob was saying, $10 a day, and get results from those small purchases, and build yourself up from that as you see results come in.
Excellent. I think everybody can agree on that. You need to have, don't break the bank on something before you have any legit numbers behind it. So, very good point. So with that said, let's go into the next question, because this is kind of the theme of the whole thing. So I think this is a good place to jump in on this question. So what is your best source of traffic? Whether it's paid traffic, organic traffic, whatever you got to do, what have you found is your best source of traffic? We're going to go just from left to right, just like we did with the introduction. So let's go ahead and start with Bob.
Yeah, my current favorite is Facebook, hands down. I can target pretty cheap. I can get pretty inexpensive traffic. I can get ads approved quickly, and I can get answers within a couple of days. So pretty much about 90–95% of what I'm doing these days is Facebook traffic for clients, and hands down my favorite right now.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay, so next up we have Gene. Gene, what is your preferred way, your best source of traffic right now?
My best source of traffic is through my JV relationships. I tap into their resources rather than spend my money. My screen just went blank. I'm not sure if you can still hear me, but
we can hear you. I can
okay.
Also see you too.
Okay, it just came back for me too. So yeah, rather than invest and take chances on spending money on advertising, I like to just create relationships with JV partners and tap into their traffic.
Excellent. Everybody likes a good JV relationship. It opens up doors that you didn't have otherwise, and I've done a lot of both. JV, it feels a little bit more like you're hanging out and talking with your friends. So I see that as a little bit more of an appeal, right? Like these are people that you meet at events and whatnot, and you're you're in the
Right.
same like job, so to speak, right? Your virtual water cooler, if you will.
And the beauty of it is it takes all the risk away for you.
Yeah, yeah.
You're not risking your own money, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your contribution on that. John Rizzo, what do you think? What is your best source of traffic right now for you in your business?
Historically, it's been organic search. I think on the paid side, it's really been AdWords for a long time. I've been doing more and more testing with Facebook, and interested to actually pick Justin's brain on YouTube and get some of his thoughts there, because I agree with Bob. It is, or it may have been Ross who had said it, it feels like AdWords felt 10 years ago with how cheap the traffic is there. So YouTube, with the remarketing capabilities and things that you can do after getting that traffic, is something that I'm gravitating more towards.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of gold in the. Oh, you were saying?
I was just gonna say, you have YouTube nerd up there for a reason, right?
That's right. Yeah, that seemed like the appropriate label, because I thought genius was a little too laying it on thick. The next up in the panel that I see here is Justin Sardi, and I always like hearing from him because he's always got input about YouTube, but maybe it might be something different. Justin, what is your preferred source of traffic right now for you and your business?
Oh, yeah. For me personally, like in my business, I'm going to have to agree with the JVs, that and my list. So I've built a list over time, and obviously that's the best source of traffic. But that list was built through joint venture relationships and networking with other affiliates, things like that. And that's personally my favorite source of traffic. But when I'm running ads for clients, it's definitely YouTube. So but they're also different. My clients are usually trying to get more traffic in the door, or we have different goals in mind.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, very, very well put. Very well put. So, next up is Lee Collins. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the traffic sources that you're using for your business right now?
I have to agree. My biggest traffic source is my list. I've spent the last 15 years building my list, and it's also been through JVs and other relationships, so that's number one. Been seeing a lot of good results with YouTube videos as well, and starting to see some really cool things from podcasting. So I think podcasting may overtake YouTube for me very shortly, but still the list is number one.
Excellent. Excellent. It's good to hear podcasting, because I'm the kind of guy who I'll pick up a random podcast, and if they have like archived episodes, like if they have multiple episodes, I'll listen to the one episode that I like, and then I'll go back to the beginning and listen to all of them. And that's also what I hope happens with things like this, right? Someone who watches like tonight's live broadcast will then go back and watch the other two as well. So good to see that podcasting is still making a good, strong move for attention. So with that said, next up we have Marc Goldman. Marc, why don't you tell us a little bit about your favorite preferred traffic source?
Sure thing, Zane. So I know everyone would expect the JV guy to say joint ventures, and joint ventures are definitely there. My list is also there, much like everyone else on the panel. Been spending a long time cultivating that. There's been times when, if I don't have anything to say, I don't believe in hammering them with every offer that's out there. So, I might lay low for a while. But one thing that I do want to say, if you're to the people listening, is if you're thinking about using joint ventures for traffic and it's to sell your own products, you've got to test it first. So you've got to bite the bullet and spend a little bit in advertising, because the worst thing that you could do in the way to damage a joint venture relationship is to have your JV partners drive traffic to something that isn't going to convert. So you've got to spend a couple of bucks, set your budget, $5, $10 a day, $20 a day, whatever it may be, to really see if your product converts. Then, and only then, especially if it converts to cold traffic. Then when you get an endorsed mail-in from somebody else who has a relationship with their list, the list has affinity for them, you're going to knock it out the park. So without a doubt, start with that. And what I do want to say is that recently I've been immersing myself, much like everybody else on here, into Facebook ads. So I really do like that as the paid advertising of choice. Maybe it's because for me, Google AdWords never worked. Every time I tried it, I tanked. I blew a lot of money. Not as much as Ross, but I blew some money. So it's, to me, joint ventures, but definitely lead off, test your stuff first with paid advertising.
Yeah, no, I really like what you said there, because I have inadvertently made that mistake of like, oh, well, yeah, of course my product is awesome, my copy must be awesome, so I'm just going to go ahead and say, hey, all of you JVs that I've worked so hard over the last couple of years to get your attention, go ahead and mail for this, and then like the returns that they get, it makes it harder the next time that you want to say, hey, joint ventures, like you need to come over and check this out. So hearing that insight just, it gave me a lot of reminders of like, oh yeah, that totally makes sense what you're saying. Try testing it with some paid traffic, and then that totally makes sense. So thank you for that insight right now. For me, that's very helpful, Mark. So thank you. Moving on, we have Ron Douglas, who's just joined us, but he's still getting his audio and video stuff. Let's just check real quick. Ron, you with us? Can you hear/see us? If not, we'll just...
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah. Ron, welcome to the call. If you want, we can go ahead and move on to Ross for a minute here, but right now we're just talking about your favorite source of traffic, paid or organic.
Okay, can you see me?
Right now, we can just see the picture of your Google Plus icon, but you should be popping in any second now. So. Okay.
Well, my favorite traffic source lately has been email traffic, and not the email solo ads that you would see people, buying on like the Warrior Forum or something. I'm talking about like email ads that you would buy from people with real email newsletters where you control the subject line and they actually use your ad. They use your copy, and they charge you, anywhere from, usually like $8 CPM. So that's $8 for every 1,000 people they send it to. So it's a lot of different sources. I'm mostly in niches, mostly in the cooking niche, some in the fitness niche as well. So I buy a lot of traffic from different sources. I also sell traffic at like $8 to $10 CPM, and I'm part of Flatiron Media. I'm part of their network. So they have email lists there where you can buy an ad, and they call it email list rentals more so than solo ads. So that's really my favorite source of traffic.
Okay. Well, we'll definitely have to come back to that, because there's actually somebody who's asked on the Google Plus event page if there are any comments on paying for solo ads and how to avoid trash lists. So maybe that's a topic we can come back to now that we do have our awesome moderator back. Heather, are you with us? Are you with us now?
I think so. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're coming in loud and clear.
At the risk of sounding like a Verizon commercial, can you hear me now?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And all I've got the copy of the questions. I'll just keep dropping them into the chat here in the Hangout. Will that work?
Just drop them into an email for me. Not an attachment though. Just paste them in there so I can copy them onto something here.
Coming right up.
All right, cool. So how we've established that paid traffic is good if you have more money to spend, and organic traffic is better if you have more time and resources to spend. Is that where we're at?
Yeah, pretty much. We're gonna end with Ross and his preferred mode of traffic, and then I'll get.
Oh, I know what Ross's preferred mode is. Okay, Ross, let's hear it again.
Well, I don't know if you're going to expect this one.
Oh, you're going to throw me a curveball here?
I like all the methods that everyone just said, and that's actually the key to doing this properly is go where your audience is and get in front of them. That's where your traffic comes from. I get organic traffic. I get joint venture traffic. I make partnerships with friends. There's all kinds of ways to get traffic. Don't limit yourself, and the one thing that I'll say regarding this is don't pick one and stick to it forever, because that's foolish. Pick one, get it functioning and making you money, then move on to the next one and keep adding. Because relying solely on one traffic source is the single biggest mistake you can make for your business. That's not a business, that's a hobby.
Okay, so you're basically saying don't put all your eggs in one basket. when it comes to traffic?
Sure. I had a website that ranked for terms like SEO software. The website was evaluated at about $100,000 as far as what it would be worth if I sold it. Google decided to change everything, and then it ranked for nothing. So the value went down to about $500. So it was absolutely horrendous, and I was being lazy, and I had focused on Google. I was happy with all the free traffic I was getting, and my website basically got destroyed when Google pulled the rug out from under me. And it was hugely, hugely costly to my business because I was actually about to flip that website. So when I did end up flipping it, I got next to nothing in comparison. So the point being, don't put all your eggs in one basket ever. Rely on as many traffic sources as you can by starting with one, making it work, and then moving on to another, and slowly just building it up over time.
Okay, that's cool. However, I think the question was, what's your preferred method? So can you give us, which one's your favorite?
I did that. Organic. I prefer SEO.
Organic. You're still an SEO guy. Okay.
Always.
Okay. So here's a question that is for the SEO guys specifically. What SEO tools do you use to analyze your websites and your competitors' websites? So anyone else besides Ross an SEO guy? All right, Ross, you take that first.
I don't. I don't. I know what works and I stick to it, and I'm going to give away an SEO strategy that I believe is unslappable. So I'm going to spit it out, and then I'll shut myself down and let all the others say what they've got to say on the topic. So I don't do analysis on other people's websites. What they do makes no difference to me at all. All I want to do is make sure that Google understands exactly what I'm giving them. So for on-page, I focus on file name for a web page. That can be done in WordPress by specifying the actual URL. I focus on a title tag. I name my images properly with the keywords that describe them. I use headings where I need to on a page. And that's all I do for on-page SEO. And video syndication software, I rank #1 in Google with no backlinks at all. So if I want to drive backlinks to a website and do content syndication, which I believe is just as important now as it was 5 to 10 years ago, I will create a piece of content. I will put it where I want. So let's say I'm going to do article marketing. I'll pick one of the top 10 article directories, put the article on it, and then when I take the article and put it on other directories, I no-follow the backlink. As far as the links that I build in my website, the anchor text or the words that I use are always going to be click here, url.com, a naked link meaning just the URL, or the title tag of the web page, and that's it. I don't do keyword-based linking or any of those things, and this strategy is working really well, and it's working very quickly. So that's my SEO strategy from top to bottom. I'm sure there will be questions about it later, and I'll be happy to answer them.
All right, cool. Anyone else do SEO these days?
Yeah, I do a couple of things with SEO.
Okay, so what do you think? What tools do you use?
One of the things that's been working really well for me lately is to do Google Hangouts, just like we're doing here, but build a bunch of links to them in advance. So you could pretty much dominate a lot of different keywords. What I like to do has been working is I'll do a press release and distribute it to a lot of different press release sites in anticipation of the Google Hangout. So you get the Google Hangout link in advance, you build a bunch of links to it with the press release, and then you link it from your own sites as well and from social media sites and, OnlyWire and sites like that. And by the time you do your Google Hangout, you got so much link love and, heading into YouTube that Google likes to rank those YouTube Hangouts really well. And what I find is you'll get a pop within the first week or so. You'll get a pop, and then it'll drop off for like 2-3 weeks. And then it'll come back and start ranking on the first page, like maybe the first 1, 2, or 3, third result. And it does that consistently, especially with local keyword terms. So I have a bunch of like local clients in my neighborhood that want to rank for things like, I live near Locust Valley. I work in Locust Valley, so I have a client that wants to rank for Locust Valley wedding photographer and things like that. And those are like slam dunk keywords, but to the client, it's such a valuable thing to rank for, and they don't know how to do it. And to me, it's just so easy to do, especially with a Google Hangout.
Yeah. Hey, Ron, what services do you use? Because I just bought Chris Munch's SkyRanker, and that's supposed to be on par with like PR web and things like that. And from what I've heard about press releases, because I don't know that much about them, but press releases are, like you said, really, really effective. And if you want to get that extra exposure, you want to go for something like PR web or something like that. Is that what you use or something similar?
Well, I've used PR Web. I don't see too much of a difference between, I've used Chris Munch, his service as well. I actually gave him a good testimonial. He helped me rank one of my clients' sites. I've used the press release distribution service on 99centarticles.com. As long as you get it out to a bunch of the different press release sites like SB Wire and the different free sites, you could, pretty much rank a lot of different keywords doing that. On PR Web, I would probably use that if I was trying to rank a really, really competitive keyword term, but I haven't really seen too much of a difference, between the services.
All right, cool. Thank you.
So, Ron, you mentioned press releases, and Ross mentioned article marketing. We had a question a few nights ago where people were wondering if article marketing still does work. Ross, you find it does still work, or have you changed strategy as opposed to what you would have done a few years ago?
Yes, I believe it still works, but I believe 99% of people do it wrong, so they're not getting results from it. I also know that over time, Google has slapped most article directories to decrease their rankings. So the organic traffic from, for instance, Easy in Articles is down across the board. However, what most people don't think about is that any article directory, any video sharing site, any podcast directory, any directory of any sort is a search engine itself. And what happens there is when people are looking for content that is on your topic, and if it's not there, they find your competitors. So any traffic strategy is going to work if you use it properly. So for SEO purposes, article marketing, what you would want to do is take a unique article, put it on one of the top directories first so you get that link juice or whatever. And then after that, follow every other article directory you want to put that article onto. So you're not trying to tell Google, hey, I'm trying to get SEO results from this. So really what you're looking for is the click-through traffic just as much as organic rankings. So does article marketing still work to get traffic? Yes. Does it still work for SEO? Yes. You just can't do the keyword spam that you would have done 5 years ago, where you would put an anchor text link in your resource box using the keyword you would want to rank for. That's an indication of trying to rank in Google, and Google will not look upon that favorably. So the key is the anchor text you use to link back to your website. URL.com, click here, naked link, or the title tag of the page, and that's literally all I ever use when building links.
One other thing I'd say is, if I look back, I've been doing this since 2001, and the thing that's really worked the best for me is just you build a list first. Whether it's paid traffic, whether it's free traffic from different blogs, you build that list first, and then you use that list to build a community. You throw up a forum, or you throw up a Facebook page, or you throw up different blogs or whatnot, and use your list, because your list is instant traffic. It's traffic that you own. Going back to what Ross said, you shouldn't have all your eggs in one traffic source. I would say the exception to that may be if you have your list, because you always can generate traffic from that. And you could send your list to different places. Some people might want to see you on social media. You could take that list and build your social media presence. You could take that list, build your community on your site where people are going there sharing information, and that user-generated content gets picked up by the search engines. And some of the best content you can have. You can send people to a page on your site where they start a discussion about a particular topic, and they're all giving their different insights on that topic, and all of that content gets picked up in the search engines and spidered in the search engines, and those are some of you start ranking for keywords that you would have never even thought of on your own, because it's a part of the natural conversation that they're having. So that's really what's worked best for me for SEO purposes over the years.
Yeah, so that's a good point. When you have a list of whatever type, you own the traffic, as you say, which, that's a cool way to put it. And that ties right in, though, to another question here, because the question becomes, how do you get the original traffic to your list? So the question from the audience here is, what's the best method of getting quick, free traffic to your squeeze page. Now, of course, I'm just going to put out there, traffic is never free, because if you're not paying money for it, you're paying someone else to do the SEO, or you're spending your time or your energy. So it's not totally free, but they're saying no monetary budget right now. Best method of using SEO to get traffic to your squeeze page. So, Ron, why don't you take that, since you're just talking about doing exactly that?
I mean, SEO to get traffic to a squeeze page is tough. It's tough. I mean, you probably have a better chance of putting up a blog and getting SEO to content. SEO, like Google doesn't want to send traffic to a squeeze page in my experience. Maybe back in the days, but not really anymore. I mean, you could put some type of exit slide in on your blog, or some type of very visible header where you can collect the opt-in right there on your blog, but sending it to a squeeze page, I wouldn't advise that. I don't know if Ross has had different experiences with that or not.
Okay. Does anyone else have any type of free traffic? I guess it could be social media marketing. It could be, any number of ways. It could be an email swap. But the question is just free. He doesn't have any budget, so.
Build a fan
free
page.
Free methods. Free methods.
Create a product and get affiliates to promote it if you want free traffic. I mean, that's the best free traffic.
Yeah.
Create something, learn how to create a sales offer that converts, go to events, network with people, and then get them to promote your stuff. Even if you got to give them 100% of the front end product, or even 100% of the entire funnel, you're at least building your customer list that way. And I see that's what a lot of people are doing through JVZoo and whatnot.
Yeah, okay. Marc Goldman, you got anything to add on that?
Yeah, I was going to say, build a Facebook fan page. If you have the skills to install, to create an app that has, build a tab and have an opt-in form built into it, and really organically try to get out there and get people to like your fan page, get them to interact, push them to it, get them to share it virally, and drive them to it, provide value. The whole thing is, if you're trying to get an opt-in, you've got to do something in exchange for it. Just like Ron said, Google's not interested in giving traffic to your squeeze page. It provides no value to them. Much the same, you've got to provide value to people in some form or fashion for them to give up their details to you. So that would be my suggestion if you want to try to do it free. JVs and affiliates aren't really going to be interested, in my experience, in driving traffic to your squeeze page so that you can build your email list on their back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there is a way that you can do that if you do, for instance, an interview series, which is how I started out, and then the people that you interview will drive traffic to your squeeze page because it's, hey, listen to me being interviewed with all these other experts. So there's one way.
Also, webinars are a big thing too, because people expect they have to register for the webinar, so you can integrate the webinar sign up with your autoresponder and build your list that way. If you have a webinar that converts. I mean, the good thing about webinars is they're still seen as content. So if you have a good content-based webinar, people don't mind sharing it because they're kind of doing a favor to their list by sharing good content. And you might have a small, 10 to 15-minute pitch at the end, but people just anticipate that it's going to be a sign-up if they want to get their link for the webinar. So you can integrate the webinar sign-up with your autoresponder. And if you have a good webinar, what happens is the word starts to spread about it, and then you could just go from one person to the next and just drop names. Like I just did this webinar with Marc Goldman, and we converted at this rate. He made this amount of money. Would you be interested in it? He's like, oh, I know Marc. Let me do this webinar too. And it kind of creates a domino effect. Before you know it, you have a huge list from these webinar registrations. That's one way to go about it.
Yeah, and just going back to video and podcasting, you could use video to drive traffic to your squeeze page, and then SEO and drive traffic to your video. So your video and podcasting could be a method that you could use to sort of end around making that work.
Yeah. That's and something like my initial strategy when I first started with YouTube was all keyword driven, but I don't know. It seemed to make sense early on with keyword research. There are some words that just get a ridiculous amount of search, but they don't really seem related to anything that's connected to money, right? There are just some keywords that have a ton of search volume, and some that have less and have more what's called commercial intent, right? Like a keyword like big screen TV, like specific dimensions and stuff. That's that basically means that, okay, that's most of the time that's a person searching for something, a specific TV, saying, I want this, right? So when I first started with YouTube myself, it was just a shot in the dark of, okay, well, let's see if this works. And we had created a course about Joomla, right? Now Joomla is the spin-off, like it's another answer to WordPress, right? It's basic pieces that you can put together to make a website. It's just a little bit more complicated, but there's more things that you can do. Me and my partner at the time found a really good opportunity to say, hey, here's a niche product that's similar to the search demand of WordPress, and it worked out really well. We had a lot of traffic to our YouTube videos, which we used as the filter and also the lead generation process. But I was always thinking about the keywords, thinking about search engine optimization. Well, I don't have a website, but I do have a YouTube video page that needs to be optimized. And so I also quickly learned that the people who were searching for what I had, right, Joomla tutorials, they were mad because they were actually getting made fun of on the Joomla website for asking noob questions. So the first thing that they did is they turned over to Google and went, okay, Joomla tutorials, I hate those guys, I need to learn. So I just positioned myself as the best option for Joomla tutorials, and that video, that was the time where you only had a 10-minute limit. And so we had to cut our video in half and say, sorry, like we only have so much bandwidth here on YouTube. Go over to our website. And so 50% of our traffic from the YouTube videos ended up on our website. And 50% of those people, like we did, like what Ron recommended, having a place where people could enter their email address. It wasn't huge and obnoxious. It was just the video part 2 was like, hey, opt into the email, right? So like it flowed very well. Our users went through a process. They got to know us through the tutorials. They saw that we were professional. In fact, we didn't have our product ready. We got hate mail saying, how dare you do this and make this product and tempt us with this and not have it ready yet. You better email me as soon as your product is ready. So like that's, again, it's not exactly SEO, but that's where my head was at when I made these YouTube videos and thinking about the end user, and it just seemed to work out and flow really well, and it was my way to say, okay, you can actually use YouTube professionally if you are thinking about the end user, right? So I know I went around in a big circle, but SEO, that's what we were talking about, right?
Well, we were technically talking about traffic sources where you don't have to pay money, which may or may not be SEO, because a lot of ideas came up that were not SEO specifically. So you got into the video marketing area there, though. So here is a question from the audience specifically on video. It's from Paul Bryan from Connecticut, and he wants to know, what is the best method to rank video? So, do we have any other video experts, video traffic, video marketing?
Nope.
Do you want to take that, Zane?
Yeah. Well, you said others, so I was like, all right, I just want to make sure.
I was waiting too, but I didn't hear anyone, so yeah.
I know Justin knows a thing or two, so I wanted to.
Okay, we'll check with Justin in a sec.
Oh, okay, all right, okay. So for me, it's always been the same thing. Thinking about the end user, the user experience that they're having, as well as the user experience that you want them to have, to bring them to your side and say, yes, your option is an option that I want to pay for, right? So that's what you really want. I really want to urge anybody who's thinking about ranking maybe to not obsess about ranking too much. And I'm not saying that you're obsessing, but it seems to be a general industry that's just like, you gotta rank, you gotta rank, you gotta rank. Okay, well let's go there, right? So let's say that you have been ranked #1 on Google. What's the point, right? You've gotten their attention. Okay, that's all it is. The next step is to get them interested, right? So if your content, whether it's a YouTube video or a blog post or anything like that, if it ranks #1, but it doesn't engage anybody, then you're not going to be there for very long. I mean, some Google animal is going to come and attack it, and then that's it. It's dead, right? So the way to combat that is to get the appeal of the masses or your target market and say, hey, you want to engage them, and YouTube just so happens to be a really great way to engage them. So don't just pull the trigger on keywords and ranking, because that'll happen automatically if you are thinking about your end user and what they want as far as content goes. Interestingly enough, Ross mentions the things like your title tags and a couple of other things like having the naked link, the URL. I'm thinking back to the day when I was hired to do this YouTube stuff. They said, okay, here's a subscription to Stompernet. Go through all these videos, right? So every time I was thinking about ranking, it was all things based on how you would rank a website, the tried and true ways, making sure your title, right, your title tag is the most important thing, right? So make sure that you are using keywords like I did with Joomla, right? I was creating Joomla tutorials, and I knew that's what my audience was searching for. So everything had to do with Joomla tutorials. In fact, our program was called StartLearningJoomla.com. That was actually our website, Start Learning Joomla, right? Everything had something to do with a tutorial or learning or lesson, beginners. Those were all the keywords I wanted to aim for, because those were all, like, I knew where my audience was at on that. So that not only put us at #1 for Joomla tutorials, which is like now the most competitive. Like, we basically set the tone. We're like, here's all the things. Like, everybody copied us after that, because actually Joomla tutorials became a very lucrative little business, right? So interestingly enough, again, the keywords that we were aiming for is also helped us rank for the very keywords that we wanted to rank for, because it was those keywords. Those were the keys, right? The keywords to the people, what they were thinking when they were searching for stuff on the search engine. So don't waste your position on Google just to get the attention. So as far as video ranking, you want to get those keywords and then think about the content that you would display for those people once they search those keywords. I hope that makes sense, and I hope that somebody else has something to say here.
Sure. So Justin, Zane says you have something to say on this topic, so let's hear it.
Sure. Basically, what Zane was saying with the whole title and, what are people going to be searching for, if you can match their, what their search phrase with your title of your video, odds are you're going to show up. So that's extremely important, like he was saying. But and there's also a few other tricks you can do to get your video to, get Google to, I guess, trick Google, if you will. But I mean, there's content syndication platforms out there, things like If This Then That, where you can hook up your YouTube channel along with all your, your Blogger account, your just everything, like Flickr, all kinds of different things, and you create recipes where whenever you post a video to your YouTube channel, it automatically takes your recipe and posts your video to all your different sites that you have set up, and that's been extremely effective. It's called IFTT, maybe, If This Then That. Yeah, .com, and that's a great thing that I love to use a lot. Instant content syndications everywhere.
Okay. Any other video marketers that want to chime in on this?
Heather, I can jump in quickly on that. I think, as Zane mentioned, you want to do your keyword research correctly up front and try and find phrases that you can actually rank for instead of phrases that everybody's going for. And a tool like Jaaxy.com, it's Jaaxy, that'll help you find keywords that are a little bit more, it'll score the keywords based on how they rank or how competitive they are in the search engine. So starting with something like that and then designing your strategy to move it forward from there is something that I would recommend. And then also just mixing in a limited budget on paid traffic to help get your views and engagement up, will help you stand out versus somebody who's just doing typical backlinking or basic SEO strategy that's going to take a little bit more time to rank.
Okay.
Yeah, and I love what you just said there, because that's a key that I found too. Google loves you to spend money with them. They want you to spend cash. So if you're spending money in addition to the organic rankings, following all the basic rules, and that's one of the reasons I didn't chime in, because the basics are use your keywords, use your tags, do the right things, find markets that you can compete within, sub-markets within the video, for whatever that is, but then also spend a little bit of money. It really doesn't even have to be much. Just $5 to $10 a day, if that, and then after a while, you'll start to get that traction.
Okay, so you guys are talking a lot about keywords and tags, which of course tags are based on keywords. So that begs the question: how do you know what keywords to use? How do you know what keywords people are looking for? Do you do keyword research? Do you do analysis, or do you just go with your gut, go with your logic, and put what you think it should be? Lee?
Let me find my mute button here, Heather. The first thing I always do is I go with my gut. Because, after 15 years, you kind of have a good gut feeling about what works. And I go with my gut. I spend a little bit of money. I look at the competition in the area. I'll do some basic searches in YouTube and see what else is there. And from there, I just sort of formulate what I believe will work. I let that run for 2 to 3 days, sometimes 4 days, depending on the market that I'm playing in. And then I just analyze it from there. If I have to do any keyword research, I'll do it after that point, after I've ran $10, $30, $50 to a video to see how it works. So that's my strategy. It's worked for me for a long time. It's still working today. And when I work with my clients to help them do stuff, that's sort of what I tell them to do as well.
Right. Okay. Anyone else do keyword research or not do keyword research?
Yeah, I do a little. So the furthest that I go, I'm always thinking about the end user and the current experience that they are having. So I will search keywords that I think that my end user will search. And I will search in Google and I will search in YouTube. And more often than not, I will find a YouTube video on the Google search, which is a really good sign. But even if not, I'll search both Google and YouTube back to back, the same keywords, and see what shows up and see what's currently ranking. I like to look at the person who's at the very top, number one, and I also like to look at the person who's at the very bottom. So I say, okay, if I can get to the bottom of the first page, that's how long, I can make an assumption of how long it would take to get from number 10 to number 1. So then I just do a mix and match of the two. I'll go through and I use Firefox, and Firefox, like pretty much any web page, you can right-click and view page source. And if there are keywords associated with that web page that you're currently on, you'll be able to find them. And I see the common denominators, and then once I see the common denominators, then that's when I start using my gut. Go, all right, I'll add some of these keywords because I'm sure these guys aren't aware of the other keywords that are being searched, right? So that's that's how.
Anyone else use different strategies for coming up with keywords?
Well, this is a bit abstract, but I think it boils down to really knowing your audience inside and out, and knowing the reasons why people will come to your site. And if you're creating info products or something that solves a problem for people, whatever it may be, I want you to really know your audience. And Bob mentioned this earlier, having an avatar. If you could really have that person down pat, and you know what kind of pain points they're going through, what they're feeling, what your problem solves, then you might get a better insight. I think you need to know that before you even start worrying about the keyword research. Yeah, go with your gut, because hopefully you know your product inside and out. You didn't just create this. Maybe you solved the problem for yourself too. But try to put yourself in the shoes of the person that you want to become your customer, your lead, whatever the case may be. And really, that's where you're going to find your best performing keywords. And I'm not an SEO guy. There's much better people on the call for this, but I think I'd like to dig more into the long tail stuff, because that's where you're going to get the person, as Zane said, with the commercial intent. If somebody's typing in a lot, this is like the person who's really specific with their Amazon searches. They were talking about this a few years ago, and Zane touched on it before, and they put in the specific model number for the TV that they're looking for around Super Bowl time. And people would register domains with that exact keyword or that exact product, and they were trying to come up first. So you know the intent of the person to come, and hopefully, if that's what they're looking for, you're going to solve it by ranking as high as you can. So that's my contribution. I hope that people can really get inside the minds of the people that they want to become their customers.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense.
You can also survey your customers.
Exactly.
Survey your customers. What's your number one question about this topic? What's your question about that topic? Come up with a bunch of different survey questions, and then take those questions that the respondents ask and make blog posts out of each one with an answer to each one, or make YouTube videos out of each question with an answer to each question, and you know that other people are going to be searching for those particular questions as well. You could use the question sites as well, like the Yahoo Answers and the Google Answers. I don't think they're around anymore, but you just want to find out what the conversation is. What are people asking about related to products they might buy, related to that particular niche, and you want to have an answer for all those items, in the form of an article or a video or some type of response on your site, and that's how you really tap into that conversation.
Okay, so all right, those are some good points. So that's okay. Anyway, we are just past halfway done, and I know that Zane likes to take a little break right now and give us a little bit of a word from our sponsor and just kind of do some housekeeping. So take it away, Zane.
For sure, thank you. Awesome. So what you're looking at right now is I'm sharing my screen, and you're looking at the description of the YouTube video that you're probably watching this from. This link takes you over to the Google Plus community that we have here, right? So, okay. So we want to invite you over to the Fantastic 40 Masters of Marketer Roundtable Google Plus community. This is where we're taking and continuing the conversation, and everybody's chatting and talking about this. If you have any questions about the future events that will be happening, they will be posted here, as well as the pinned post right here that shows everything, all of the days. If there's anything that we've already done, like day 1 and 2, you can actually go in and watch them right away, as well as be able to sign up and subscribe to the YouTube channel so that you can be notified of the next 2 days that are going to be coming up. So that was it. I do also know that we have here on the Hangout is our official sponsor. So John, if you want to take a minute and talk about InVids, this is the time to do it, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been working on the platform really over the past year, and we wanted to help with a lot of the challenges that you see with conversions from video specifically and outside of the YouTube environment, but also be able to play on the traffic that comes from YouTube. So we're actually just rolling it out, and have gotten a great response, and we have free accounts available now. You can sign in via social media on invids.com. We also have a 2-tier affiliate program that we've built in automatically when you sign up for free. And essentially, when you're in the dashboard, you're able to pull videos from YouTube, you're able to pull channels from YouTube, and you're able to remarket those videos with more effective calls to action built into them. So being able to integrate, with your email autoresponders, being able to actually receive phone calls from your videos, being able to allow purchases directly from your video are a couple of the feature sets that we've built in, along with being able to actually receive text from your videos as well. So go ahead and check it out. If you've got any feedback for us, we really appreciate it, and we're continuing to grow the product and the brand, and happy to be sponsoring and helping drive some more traffic to the event.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for that. So at that point, we're good with the housekeeping and the sponsor. So let's jump right back into the discussion. So thank you again, Heather.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Zane. So we've got 2 questions here that are really similar. One's from John from New Jersey, who asks, at what point should you consider paid traffic sources, and what are the most economical methods? And then Jill from Regina, Saskatchewan, wants to know, if your funds are limited at time of startup, where do you recommend investing your marketing budget? So both of them are saying they have limited funds, but they do want to do paid traffic. So, Ross, what do you think? What are the best ways to start with limited funds?
Okay, well, the first thing I would avoid with limited funds is AdWords. You can spend a lot of money very, very quickly and really tank your entire budget really quickly. The beauty about Facebook advertising is that you can start with $5 to $10 a day, drive your attention to whatever web page you want. In fact, you can even pay Facebook for conversions. You can give them a budget of, let's say you have a $50 product and you're willing to pay Facebook $25 for every conversion. You put a little pixel on your thank you page, and Facebook will do everything in their power to make sure you're not paying more than $25. If they can't do it, they'll say sorry, but there are all kinds of things you can do, and if you're looking to pay for traffic inexpensively, Facebook is a really reasonable place to do that. There are dozens of other ways. However, the key is always going to be targeting. So you really need to, before you ever consider spending money on testing, you really need to figure out who you're going to target. Facebook has an audience insights tool that they've released recently that's absolutely incredible. You don't need a huge amount of data about your demographic to be able to go in there and really get a good idea of what the people who would be interested in what you're selling are doing on Facebook to enable you to better target them and spend your money more wisely. There are other ways. There's Twitter advertising. There's LinkedIn, which LinkedIn I found is way more expensive than Facebook, and it works only in B2B. However, LaunchBit allows you to pay per click for email traffic. Outbrain is the network that content marketers are using, where the biggest blogs on the internet, when you see those little 6 boxes with pictures at the bottom of a blog post, that's Outbrain. If you've ever visited thechive.com, perezhilton.com, every major blog is using this network as kind of a content exchange. So if you have something similar to what would be posted on the Chive, you could show up at the end of one of their blog posts and get some of their leftover traffic. So if you're going to pay for traffic, again, I do recommend Facebook. It's the easiest way to start with the lowest budget to get results. And most importantly, you can stop it very quickly, very easily, just clicking a button, and your campaign stops cold. So if it's not working, it's very easy to shut it off. So that's my recommendation. I'm sure many of the others have recommendations of their own.
Yeah, I personally, I would like to hear some more thoughts if anybody has a particular strategy like similar to Ross or.
Well, I'm going to echo the last. I think when you start any venture that you really want to be thinking about how, we're talking about real businesses here. So I know people are on limited funds, but if you don't have $100 to invest in the business, you're probably not set up to even be in a business. What we're talking about is this is something that you're looking to generate income from, and you want people to actually spend money with you. If you're not willing to spend money to invest in that product or that service, then I'd have to question whether you have a business or a hobby. I think we heard that earlier. So, be wise with your marketing dollars. Everyone at some point is a startup. They have limited funds, but don't start a business unless you have at least $100. I would say, a real business, you could go borrow $1,000. You can get a credit card for $1,000 for Pete's sake, with a $1,000 credit limit, and then go ahead and just invest that money like you would any particular business. I also love Facebook. I think it's a great place to test. It's a great way to interact with people. You can buy ads there. You can build a page. You can communicate with people. It's a great way to do your market test and see if what you're doing is really viable.
I mean, one thing I'll say is the traffic source really depends on a lot of times what you're selling, what type of product you're selling. I'll give you a couple examples from clients that I've worked with. I have this one client. He has a dog and goose waste removal business, right? So trying to do Facebook ads, looking for people interested, in dog and waste removal, is like impossible. How do you find a page? Or, that's not a common interest in Facebook. There's no pages about it. So you kind of got to do Google AdWords because you want to catch people searching for that term. Pooper scooper Long Island or something like that. You want to catch them on AdWords searching for that term. For another example, I have a client. He has this invention. It's a customized electric toothbrush holder because usually electric toothbrushes don't fit in the toothbrush holder in your bathroom. So he created and he got a design patent for this toothbrush holder. So, for him, what works really well is Amazon ads. So what we do is we run Amazon ads. Whenever someone searches for a toothbrush holder, his ad appears for that search or for that category, and that really does well for him. So it depends on what you're advertising. If you have an information product and you have very little money, one thing I've done in the past, when I was first starting out, is you just write a bunch of articles or get somebody to write a bunch of articles for you and just contact publishers directly, contact people with email lists or a big blog following, or people that have a huge Facebook page, and write, get these compelling articles, and then just approach them and be like, can you use this article in your blog? And all you got to do is link back to my site. And if you have a product that's an info product and you have an affiliate program, you could tell them, use this article, and if anyone clicks the link and buy, you'll also get an affiliate commission for it. So that's like an old school kind of bootstrapping strategy, but it still works today because people are always looking for free content. I know I am. I've done that for a bunch of different publishers. If you have something related to cooking that can go in my email newsletter, or I can put it on my blog, hit me up. I'll take a look at it. If it's good, I'll put it out there, especially if it has an affiliate program associated with it. So that's one way to get people's attention, to get affiliates' attention as well, is like you tell them, instead of coming at them like, will you promote my thing? Will you promote my thing? You come at them as, can I write for you? Can you use this free content? It's a whole different mindset. So you coming at them as like you're doing something for them. And then say, by the way, I have this affiliate program you could promote. And then what you'll find is a lot of them will just promote your thing. They have an empty space on their calendar, and they'll just send an ad to test your thing out and promote it. And if it converts, it converts. So that's a couple of things a couple of inputs that I found from personal experience.
Yeah, thanks, Ron. And I'm going to echo what Bob said earlier, that I believe for the past 15 years, people have been asking me, how do I start my business and spend as little money as possible? And I appreciate that approach, and I think we all have experienced having to bootstrap certain portions of our business at one time or another. But really, if you're looking to make the maximum amount of money possible, you really shouldn't, in my opinion, be trying to think of the how can I do it for $1? How can I make $100 for every dollar I spend? Well, you can do that. And, I think one of the things that has been a disservice over the years is I believe a lot of people have an idea that internet marketing is sort of this panacea of, you can just do everything for, zero to no cost and you can become a millionaire next month. And that's just really not the case. And I'm not suggesting that the person who's asking the question has that mindset, but I will say that a majority of people who ask questions like that over the past 50 answering those questions have sort of had that approach that, I want to get started, but I want to spend $10, and how quickly can I be making $5,000 a month? Well, if you're spending just $10 to get started, that answer is going to be, it's going to take you a long time, if ever. So, it's about having some kind of budget, realistic budget to start with. When people start, quote-unquote, real brick-and-mortar businesses, they don't say, well, how can I start for $500, have a storefront, and have inventory and make sales? They know that there's a budget. And if we want to be realistic business, one of the things we have to do is know that you have to have a budget, know that you have to have some expense. Nothing's going to be free. It's either going to cost you time or money. Everything in life costs you time or money, period. There's no way around that. So you have to decide which energy source you want to expend in order to make your business work. So it's always difficult for me to answer those questions of how do I get started and only spend $10? Well, you really don't. Go get a job, save some money, get a credit card, and then when you have $500 to $1,000, we can talk because we can kind of work with that. But if you have zero budget, it's going to be really difficult for any of us, in my opinion, speaking for myself, not trying to speak for the rest of the panel, but in my opinion, it's going to be really difficult for us to make any real traction with a zero budget.
Okay, well, they did say limited budget, and I know some people that are getting great results on Facebook only spending $1 a day or $5 a day. So it is possible to do that, obviously. And, you know, they're not saying that they don't have any money. And also, you know, ultimately, we don't want to spend $500 and lose that $500. If we're going to spend $500, we're hoping to make back 501 or 550, or at least to get a good list of leads, a good email list going, at least if we're going to invest that money. So it's really not about how much we spend, it's about what we get as a return on that investment, right? I mean, ultimately, we don't want to be throwing money out the window. I know Ross probably agrees with that.
Well, regardless of what I mean, of course, I'll spend 501, but the reality is 99% of people won't do that. And if you believe that 100% of people will 500 to make 501, then that's kind of, you know, I'm not trying to be harsh by saying this, but it's a bit of a fantasy world. It just doesn't really work in the real world.
Ross, what do you think?
I think that the goal should be to turn $1 into 2. If you can do that, you can build a business out of it. You can leverage your profit into increasing your budget over time and slowly but surely get to a point of where you have a business that is making money and paying your bills. You can be happy and you can exist with that. So I think that's a safe goal. And I'll go right back to what I said earlier. I think on Facebook that's possible. Probably, I feel honestly that Facebook is what AdWords was 7-8 years ago, where it wasn't $5 for a click. There are search terms that are $50 for a click on AdWords. That's scary as hell. I wouldn't go anywhere near anything like that. But on Facebook, you can spend a few dollars a day, get your ads working properly. If your ads stink and your click-through rate is really, really low, Facebook's not even going to want to show your ads. You've really got to get your targeting in line. And once you do, you can spend a few dollars a day, drive them wherever you want to drive them, and if you can turn $5 into 10, you have something that is worth building upon.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about strategies for targeting. Anyone else want to chime in on this? How do you make the most use of the dollar that you are spending so that you're actually getting the targeted traffic? Marc Goldman, do you have something to say?
Say it again, Heather, please.
Ross is saying that in order to make the best use of Facebook ads, for example, you need to get your targeting down.
Right.
So what methods do you use or strategies do you use to make sure that you are targeting properly and getting the most return?
Well, the first thing that you want to do is you want to go broad. You want to know that the biggest group that you have first, and then you want to drill down to it using all the tools. If you're talking about Facebook, using all the tools that Facebook makes available. I got to agree, Audience Insights is probably one of the coolest things that I've seen. And to me, Facebook, the platform is amazing because all of us do it. We give up all of our deeds to Facebook, and we're telling them what we like. We're giving them insights into our behavioral patterns and behaviors, demographics, psychographics. What you're looking for. If let's say that you're looking for people who are interested in pit bulls. So you might start with dogs, but dogs goes way too broad because people are really specific. So then you want to type in pit bulls, and you might want to, if you're selling, I don't know, a dog collar or something, you want to find out, you want to know who you think would spend more. So you go to gender. You know, do you think that women would spend more on their dogs? Do you think that men would spend more on their dogs? And then really drill down into specific groups that somebody might like, because if you target, as Ross said, Facebook isn't going to be too happy if you're targeting too broad, and they're not going to show your ad as much if your click-through rate isn't good. So when you really get specific to the audience, so you start to look for fan pages where people really love their pit bulls, and you could type in the graph search women who love pit bulls, and you could really start drilling down and knowing better about your list. So my advice is start broad, Use the tools that Facebook makes available to you. You said it yourself, Heather. Spend $1 to $5 to get some likes to your site, to your fan page. Build a custom audience. Start to dig more into them and find out. I don't recommend you use any of the Facebook scraping tools because you'll get your account shut down immediately. But definitely want to use the built-in tools that Facebook provides for this service, and just drill down on the information that people are already given. Get your ad shown to as narrow a target and precise a target as you can, and then you're definitely going to do better. So that's what I would do.
Okay. Anyone else want to chime in on that answer?
I'll just add this. I guess I'll kind of disagree with Marc just a little bit. One of the things that I try to do with my audiences is try to narrow it down what I can do initially. I've had some of my best success where the audience or the audience in Facebook is showing me, you know, like 3,500 or 5,000 people. So what I try to do to save money is actually narrow it down further. It lowers my per-click costs and ends up lowering my conversion costs. So the better idea you have about who it is you're trying to serve and who you're trying to market to, the easier time you'll have to create that target audience, and will actually decrease your marketing costs right at the end. There's not going to be any waste. So if you don't know a lot, you have to go broad. If you do know a lot, you can start a lot narrower and trim a lot of costs that way. You probably would agree with that, though, right, Marc?
Absolutely. But I bow to your knowledge in this space. So.
We all bow to each other's knowledge.
Awesome.
Okay, cool. Anyone else want to disagree with everybody or agree, whichever the case may be? No, we're good on that?
Well,
okay.
Another cool thing you could do on Facebook is, if you know that your particular avatar, your client, your customer will normally like a certain page, you could also target other pages that people who normally like that page also like. You know, so you know if your people like Food Network, they might like Epicurious, and you know you could do a search like that on Facebook. People who like this page also like, and then you put that into the Facebook search, and it shows you a bunch of different pages that are similar to the one that they like, and you could target the people on all those different pages.
Nice.
Okay.
I actually got something to say along those lines as far as YouTube ads go. Like
Okay.
Ron was saying, you could target people, based on fan pages they like. Well, with AdWords for video, you can actually, they have what they call placements, and you can go out and find specific videos, whether it's your competitors' videos or your competitors' channels. You know, Ron was talking about cooking. Maybe it's, recipe videos, things like that. And you can run your ad before those videos as well. So they have to watch the first 5 seconds. So.
Yeah, and then you can retarget those same people through
Exactly.
AdWords and show them another video, or just well, there's a lot of ways that you can do the retargeting.
Yeah, okay. Cool. So we've got an interesting question here that's a little different than what we've been tackling so far. Sandy from Johannesburg, South Africa, would like to know suggestions, strategies, or ideas for how to drive traffic to funnels from offline. And the example given is QR codes. I don't know, some people like them, some people hate them. But whatever the strategy is for driving offline traffic online. Anyone got some strategies for that?
Hey, I'll come in with that strategy because I think I can give you something. One of the things that I did is, again, hybrid marketing. So it's driving offline traffic online and online traffic offline. So I want to get online people offline as fast as possible and vice versa. So the way it works is I actually created a process called Magic Pages. And the 4 Magic Pages is basically around this. You send out a letter, very similar to Marc's 2-step. I actually learned it from TJ, sort of modified it for online. And essentially what you do is you send 4 Magic Pages. That's a get-to-know-you kind of page. It has a hand raiser in there, and the hand raiser actually pulls people online. They have the option also of mailing it in or faxing it in, believe it or not, in today's internet world, fax still works really good. As a matter of fact, one of the JVs I've done is he wanted to take the fax number off because he said, hey, this will not work. But we left it on at my insistence, and 72% of his orders came in by fax. And that's in today's modern internet world. So, 72% of the orders just would not have come in if we had taken that fax number off, or, some percentage of that. Now, what you want to do is you want to drive people online. Keep it in mind, though, we have to think about modality. Most people have heard the saying that you want to enter the conversation in people's mind. Now, I take that one step further and say you want to enter the conversation in their mind in the modality that they want to be spoken to. People are, if you're mailing to them offline, to get them online is a bit more of a jump than it is to keep them offline for a little longer until you can phase them in. So what we really want to do, in my experience, is we want to bring them online in a very systematic approach. So you send out your 4 magic pages, you give them the option to come online. If they don't come online immediately, QR codes, I've had good and bad luck with that, depending on the market we played in. But essentially, if you do postcard mailings the right way, I know a lot of people say postcard mailings don't work, but they do work. But if you send a 4 magic pages kind of mailing where you let them get to know you, like you, and trust you, and then by the end they want to actually come online and see who you are, I found that worked really well. One of the ways I did it is I actually offered an extra bonus. Hey, if you order it by mail, here's what I'm going to send you, but if you order it right now online by going to this page, you'll get this plus this. So it was a great way to pull those people from offline to online very quickly and take them into the modality that I wanted to speak to them in. It's funny, when you give people extra stuff, they will succumb to speaking to you in the modality that you'd most prefer doing. Because do I want to send out direct mail pieces and spend money to do that, or do I want to bring them online to a squeeze page and then start sending to them via email where I can spend a little less money to do that? And the obvious answer is bring them online. So, I've got a whole strategy around that, how that works, and I'd be happy to share it with anybody who'd like to do that. But that would be mine, and that's something I've been using since 2008 with great success.
Okay, nice. Anyone else had any success with the offline to online marketing? No? Okay. So there was another one here that was, okay, this is getting a little bit personal, guys, but I want you to dig a bit here. Michael Frank from Chicago wants to know, what's the #1 challenge that each of you struggle with in your own marketing, and how do you overcome it? So, John Rizzo, you're already on the screen. Go ahead.
Sure. I think it's getting overwhelmed with all the different options that are out there, and not having enough hours in the day to do all the things that you want to test and try and see what's going to help you with your conversions over time. So I just say overall getting a little bit overwhelmed would be something that is a challenge.
Okay, and how do you overcome that?
Just try and plan the day before, and really look at the main objectives that I want to get done for that day, and then parlay it from there. Okay.
Bob, what are your biggest challenges?
Well, I've been spending a lot of time. I'm friends with Perry Marshall, and his thing lately is the 80-20 principle, and I've been spending a lot of time trying to figure out, what 20% of what I do is producing 80% of the effort, not just for myself but also for my clients. Where should I be spending my time instead of wasting my time, tweaking here and tweaking there? Where's the biggest bang for the buck going to be? Where can I find that 20% that's generating 8% of the results? So it's really trying to focus in on the right things and doing the right actions and taking the right steps where necessary. So really trying to focus my efforts on those things that are going to produce the biggest output instead of getting distracted by something that just wastes my time.
Yeah. I've interviewed Perry about that. He's fascinating, the way that he drills down everything, and then that 20% gets drilled down, and that 20%, and that 20 to infinity.
It's to infinity, yes.
Right. Okay, Gene, what challenges do you face and how do you overcome them?
Well, one of the biggest challenges I have faced is spending too much time in creativity and not enough in marketing. I'm a very creative person, and I like to develop systems. I like to create things and create systems and create ways of doing things and creating products, but the marketing is where the money comes in. You need to do more marketing as opposed to creation. You do have to do some creation, but marketing is where the money comes in. So that's where most of the time should be spent.
Okay, now, of course, we all have strengths and weaknesses, and sometimes if we're good at creating, we're not necessarily good or interested in marketing. I'm a perfect example of that. What I typically do is I will hook up with a marketer to create a product together. So I will create the content, and they take care of marketing it. And I've done that time and time again, and it works out really well.
Yeah, whatever you are weak in, you should find a partner or somebody that can help you with that particular task, whether it's marketing or whether it's creating. You know, we all have different skill levels, but the marketing is what generates the income, so you have to find a way to do that, whether or not you do it or outsource it.
Yeah, okay. All right, Justin, what challenges do you face and how do you overcome them?
Probably my biggest challenge is getting things done and not being distracted. I work online, and we all know the internet's a bottomless pit of tons of cool things to
Really?
check out.
Is there distracting stuff on the internet? Wow.
Especially Facebook, and I make the excuse that, oh no, I do a lot of marketing on Facebook, but really I just waste a bunch of time on Facebook. So what I've been doing to overcome that is make a to-do list. I actually got it from Ben Atkins, how he does his. I pick 5 things that I need to get done for that day, and make sure they're done. And if they're not done the next day, whatever one isn't done, I break that into more steps. So.
Okay, good idea. Lee, what about you? What are your challenges?
One of my biggest challenges is overextending myself and taking too much on. So what I've started doing is at 3 to 5. You know, my 3 to 5 things I must get done today. And if for some reason they don't get done, they do roll over to the next day, very very similar. And not worrying about fires, realizing what's important and what's not. One of the things that I've taken into my day is, say, we've got these things with us all the time, and we have text messages and email messages and Facebook alerts that come up. Nothing that happens on this device needs immediate attention. And that's been one of the biggest things that I've learned is don't let this thing distract me all day. I actually put it face down across the room, sometimes in another room, so I'm not distracted by it. So not overextending myself, and then keeping a task and not getting caught up in fighting.
Yeah, okay, good ideas. Thanks, Lee. Mark, what about you?
Probably my biggest problem is getting involved in things that I really shouldn't be in the business. I have employees that work for me. We pay them well, and I find myself micromanaging a lot, and it's tough to let go. So I've got to always step back and trust their decisions. I have guys who've been with me for close to 8-9 years, and they know what to do. They know how to sell to clients. Clients know them sometimes better than they know me. So it's just stepping back and trusting them. And the distractions, the shiny object stuff, the Facebook, the cell phone, all of that is something that comes into play as well. Time management is extremely important. I think every one of us sort of touched on it in a way. And knowing what's really important and what to focus on. And I used to freak out if something went wrong in the business, or a big client was threatening to leave, or whatever the case was, or somebody was complaining about not making enough money. Whatever the case was, I've often found out that it's not going to be the end of the world even if somebody does leave. And so you've just got to let it go at the risk of starting off a Disney chorus amongst the panel here.
Yeah, exactly.
So you got to let it go. And you got to just trust in the people that you brought on, that you work with. And if they suck, get rid of them. And you got to get yourself out of it, or else you're going to be buried in the monotony of the business and not focus on the marketing. Because, Gene was touching on this. We are all in no matter what our business is, we're all in the business of marketing our business, not the business itself. So that's really important to focus on.
Good point. So, all right, so Ron, what about you? What are your biggest challenges and how do you overcome them?
Hey, you're muted.
I can't
Ron.
hear you, Ron. You got to unmute.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I can hear you now.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, I was saying that my biggest challenge is being friends with Gene on Facebook because he has these jokes that he posts every day, and it's a huge distraction. No, I think my biggest challenge is really complacency and really keeping the pedal to the metal. Like when I've exceeded, like if my expenses for the month are 10 grand and I've already made 20 grand, you know, I'm liable to take the rest of the month off. You know, I'm not like keeping the pedal on the metal to make 80 grand that month. I'm just, you know, kind of enjoying life a little bit. You know, I have young kids and, you know, I'm not really focused on the business like I should. Maybe I need to hire somebody that's more hungry. But I've been doing this so long now, you know, I don't really put as much focus on it as I should anymore. I'm not really that aggressive. I'm not as prolific as I should be, and I think that's my main area of improvement.
Okay, well, you know, you don't have to work yourself to death if you're happy with where you're at. That's cool. No pressure. And Ross, what about you? What challenges do you face and how do you overcome them?
Oh, well, I will second what everybody else said, but I had far deeper issues to deal with. There were two of them, and I'm going to talk about them both. And this is really, really personal. Those of you that know me know that I'm not afraid to go there. So number one, when I first started my business, I got really, really sick. Nearly died. I was in a coma for 10 days. And when I came out of that, I dove into my business face first. I was spending 16 hours a day in front of a computer for a certain amount of time. I was in a wheelchair. All I did was breathe my business. And I didn't do enough living, but that's not one of my two. So the problem was that I was really angry. I was mad over what happened to me. I didn't understand what I had done to deserve being so sick. I was really young, 27, 26 years old. It was senseless, 25 actually, wow. It was senseless. Why did it happen to me? And I was so angry for so long, and it controlled my entire outlook on life. Lee and Alan have known me longest out of anybody here, and Alan, I know for sure, was around when I was in the Warrior Forum and making keyboard warriors cry because I was just so angry at the world that, you know, I took it out on everybody that looked at me funny or said something I didn't want to hear. And I remember threatening a guy that I'd show up on his porch. So once I let go of that anger, my business started doing really well, and then I started dealing with the complacency and things like that. But the other thing was I am forever grateful to my ex-wife that she got a divorce, because my life is completely changed. I'm enjoying my work. I'm enjoying the time with my children. I just moved to a new house where she had nothing to do with how it's arranged, and the energy is completely different, and I'm really happy. I'm happier than I've been in the last 9 years, and that's because, number one, my ex-wife was awesome enough to ask for a divorce, and that I let go of how angry I was and took a little bit of control of my life. So my point in both of those stories and telling you these overly personal things is that if you don't have your stuff together personally, professionally, you're probably not going to do all that well. So get your stuff together for yourself. And once I did that and those things are in place, now I'm happier than I've ever been. And business is a joy. So that's what I've got.
That's great. Thanks, Ross. You know, and I love these stories where people face some kind of adversity or tragedy or challenge and turn it around and turn the negative into a positive. And I love how you've done that. And, you know, you all have some great strategies and methods that you've shared for overcoming. And thank you for actually admitting, because too often the people that are making good money online, the people that are successful online, they have this kind of a veil up, an image And the people that are watching this typically are people that are just beginning. They're looking up to you. And for you to admit that you also go through challenges and what they are, and they're challenges that would resonate with most of the viewers as well. So I really appreciate that. Thanks for everybody. Now, we're almost at the end of the 2-hour mark, and at this point what we like to do is get everybody's final thoughts. So this is your chance to kind of wrap it up, maybe give some final words of wisdom that you didn't get a chance to talk about, anything that you think should be your final word as we leave the end of the call. So let's start with Bob. Final words.
Cool. Hey, Ross, that was awesome. I love, I haven't met a single successful entrepreneur that doesn't have some sort of story like you have. I think if we were all honest, we all have kind of our moment in our entrepreneurial journey where we crashed and burned. It's the ones that actually survive that. So I'll just kind of then use that as my catalyst for closing thoughts. I think don't be afraid to fail. Everyone that you see, that you admire, that you follow, that is even on this panel, has had a time where they failed. And marketing is nothing but a test. All we do in marketing is try to create opportunities for us to get information. Sometimes we are successful, sometimes we are not. Actually, more often than not, we do fail. We'll have a campaign that crashes. We'll have we'll lose $400 in a day. We'll have things that really go wrong. And I guess the best advice that I've gotten from mentors is try to fail fast. Don't delay. Don't mire yourself in failure for too long. If something doesn't work, put it away. Don't try to force it. Don't try to prolong it. Don't get emotionally attached to it. It's just a result. Put that aside and try something new. Those that can consistently fail, learn from it, and improve are the ones that actually survive. And I'd imagine if we had another couple hours, each person on this panel would probably tell you a story of their crash, their burn, and their survival. And I think everyone who's on this call that's successful is because they understand that concept and they can turn things around and learn from their mistakes. So don't be afraid to fail. Just make sure you recover from them. So
yeah,
thanks, everyone.
Failure is just a stepping stone towards success. So
yep.
Yeah. All right. So Gene, what are your final thoughts?
Well, I think my advice would be to always remember that no matter what you're selling online, there's always a human being at the other end. It's not just a statistic. It's not just a mailing list. It's a human being that's spending their hard-earned money on whatever you're selling. Keep that in mind. Put yourself in your customer's shoes and think about the process that you're putting them through. It's a human being. It's not just a sale. So always keep that in mind, whatever you sell. Look for leaders in the niche that you're targeting. Become friends with them. It's a people business. The more relationships you can form with JV partners or customers or anybody. I spend time on Facebook, like Ron was saying. I tell jokes on Facebook. What does that do? It creates relationships. It gets people to realize you're a human being and you have something to offer. That's the thing you have to do, is just relate with people. The more they know that you're a real human being trying to be a friend to them, the more success you'll have in your business. So that's my advice.
Nice. Okay. Final thoughts, John?
Let me just unmute here, and just thanks again for having me on and allowing us to sponsor. Really enjoyed being on the panel with everybody here. I agree. The failing fast is a great strategy to have, and also just another takeaway, I think, specific on getting traffic. There's endless sources of traffic that are out there for you to test and experiment with. We're going to see the companies that are providing these platforms and tools make it more and more advanced, more and more custom, more and more targeted, I think, over time. So the traffic is there. Get started, and don't be afraid to invest some money, because you'll never make any money unless you do invest. And also, just on the personal side, starting off your day, in writing and trying to be thankful and grateful for what you already have is a great practice to put into your business before you get the cell phone out, you're on Facebook and everywhere else. So I try to do that practice to kick off the day and just jot down what I'm already thankful for, and then can jump into the work from there.
Okay, nice. Justin, final thoughts?
Yeah, basically along the lines of what Gene was saying, there are real people on the other end of, your customers are real people, and so are your, like everybody you can build relationships with online. It's easy to, meet people online, but once you actually get out, go to some events, things like that, and actually network with people, go out and buy somebody a beer, that will do more for your business than pretty much anything. At least that's what I've found. So.
Okay, cool.
Networking.
Yeah, absolutely. Lee, what are your final thoughts?
Well, I like what Ross said and what John said. It's all about living in gratitude every day for what you have, because if we look at how blessed we are, we're able to be on the computer, be on the internet, and there's a lot of places in the world that don't even have this luxury. We have clothes, we have food, we have technology, we have things that other people don't have. And I've been on a really good path in my life ever since my divorce back in 2010. So thanks, Ross, for being transparent about your life, because it helped trigger some things about mine that I wanted to share. That just months ago, March 7th, I had a massive heart attack. I almost died. I had a 5 to 10% chance of survival, and I believe that I was kept here for a reason. I believe I'm here to do something good and to spread some good word. And it's not a great path, but there's nothing like having a massive widowmaker heart attack to really just kick your butt in gear, right? So for the last 5, almost 6 months now, it's just been really amazing for me. I look at that as one of the turning points in my life, and probably one of the best things that's ever happened to me. People usually look at me weird when I say that my massive heart attack at 44 was the best thing that ever happened to me, but it's really true. So the gratitude that you have to have to make any of this work, and none of it matters without gratitude. So please, as you move forward as a newbie, all of us here, everybody, just move forward with gratitude and realize that your time on earth is limited. It can be taken away from you in an instant. I went to jiu-jitsu class Friday morning, and that afternoon I was having a massive heart attack in a doctor's office and almost died. So just be grateful for what you have, because it can be taken away anytime, and it's subject to doing that. So that's my big thing, and Ross, you just kind of touched my heart with what you said. So that's not a lot of details that a lot of people know, but I guess now everybody who's watching this knows. So just be grateful.
Wow, what an impactful story, Lee. I'm glad you're better and that you didn't pass on. So thank you for sharing that with us. And again, turning the negative into the positive and being grateful for what people call negative, that's one of the most empowering things you can do. So thank you for sharing. Marc Goldman, final thoughts?
Sure. Well, first off, I want to thank everybody for being as open and transparent as they've been. It's really cool because, like you said, a lot of times people have this view of somebody who's quote-unquote made it, and they think that they're infallible. We're all fallible. I'm not trying to wax too spiritual, but there's only one being that is infallible, and that's God. And for all of us, we've just got to live on this blue orb and make it through every day. So I thank you guys. And the one thing that I want to share is to talk about how grateful I am for my marriage to my wife, Terry, who a lot of you have met. I know Alan has, and she's the behind-the-scenes person. We've run this business together since we started it. And I remember in college in 1994, when we were dating, we were both getting psychology degrees, and we kind of knew that if we went the direction of upper education, getting a PhD and everything, that we would be separated, and that we would go down the path that so many other people do, where I see it all the time. People who they might be together, but they're out to dinner, and each person's on a cell phone separately, and everybody's got their own life. And we've decided for us that that wasn't the way that we wanted to be. So we run the business together. We spend every second together, she's my best friend. She's my rock, and I just hope for everybody on this call, everybody listening to it now, everybody listening to it later, that you have somebody that you can, whether now or later, sometimes we make the wrong choices and it's not the right person, and you'll find that person later on. But I hope for everybody listening that you'll find someone and they'll support you in what you do, because the worst thing can be when somebody doesn't support you or has a divergent view from you. And beyond that personal stuff, I hope for you that you deliver value. If you're going to be in this business, the one thing that you should do, like a lot of people touched on already, is see that there's lots of other people just like you on the other side. Don't put out crap. Don't sell garbage to people. Don't promote stuff if it conflicts with you morally or ethically. Don't get on something just because it's going to make you a quick buck. It's a long, hard road out there, but we all got to take it together. So if you are out there and you can give value to people, I've had people scoff at me because I gave people thousands of dollars worth of advice for free. And I really don't care, because it boils down to who you are and looking yourself in the mirror at night and really being proud of who you are and what you've built. And then all the rewards in the world will come. And that's all I have to say.
Nice, very nice. Thank you, Marc. Ron, what are your final thoughts for the day?
Can't hear you, Ron.
I think it's completely unfair that I have to follow all of that stuff that was just said. Well, I didn't have anything deep prepared. I was going to talk about traffic, but I mean, I would say.
You know what? Talk about traffic. That's cool. No judgment here.
I would say one of the things I've learned, and I'll leave people with this, is like your expectations can either motivate you or really drive you crazy. And I made a blog post about that, and you can see it on, not to be promotional or anything, but a lot of people seem to like it. It wasn't selling anything. On rondouglas.com about expectations, and it goes into how Robin Williams had certain expectations, not to dismiss his depression and everything like that, but when you expect certain things of yourself, and you could drive yourself crazy trying to reach certain things, when if you really have perspective and look at your life, you're really not that bad off. If you have your health, if you have your loved ones, if you have your family, there's always someone doing worse than you. And then you see all of these superstar marketers, making these big bucks, and then you put this undue pressure, self-imposed pressure and expectations on yourself to reach a certain goal, where really, I'll be honest with you, once you reach that goal, it's always going to be, okay, what do I do now? What's next? The euphoria lasts a little while, and then it goes away, and it becomes, what are you going to do next? So you really have to be grounded in the things that are really important, like your relationships with, to piggyback off of what some of the other people said, like Marc and whatnot, the relationships that you have, the love that you have in your life, spending time with your loved ones, and not be so focused. I know coming from an entrepreneur, that sounds crazy, but don't try to drive yourself crazy with unrealistic expectations that if you don't hit them, then it causes depression, or unrealistic type of expectations for your status in society, or the type of house you should live in. Just strive for it, keep reaching for that goal. But if you don't hit it, don't be so hard on yourself to say, okay, I'm a failure, my self-worth. Don't let your self-worth take a hit based on material expectations, is what I'll say. And I guess I'll leave it at that.
Cool. All right, and Ross Goldberg, final thoughts.
All right, so I don't have to go as deep this time. But one of the things...
you already went deep. You're safe.
Yeah, I'm good now. So, Well, honestly, one of the things that I learned from the divorce was that I was living based upon a lot of standards that my ex-wife and I had set together. And the realization that I could reset a lot of those standards really, really helped me quite a bit, not just personally, in business. So you saw everyone else was sitting in chairs. You could see the background of their office. Well, behind me is my pillows, because my lazy ass is sitting in bed, because I can. And it dawned on me sometime this afternoon that if I felt like it tonight, I don't usually work past 5 or 6 o'clock. I could grab my laptop and go in bed. So I did. And you know what? Don't limit yourself. Don't limit yourself to what everyone else does. Don't limit yourself to what everyone else says you should do, because if you have a good idea, it could be something none of us ever came up with. Give it a shot. If you don't try, you never know what's going to come from any ideas you might have or anything you might have come up with. So I'm sure you got lots of ideas from what we discussed tonight, and if you want to try the things we suggested, that's fine. But the true gold is going to be when you learn enough to come up with your own ideas and follow your own path. So I recommend that you find your own path as fast as you can. Fail fast, do what everybody else said, and what everyone else said is perfect. But fail fast, find your path, kick some ass, and get it done.
Nice, get her done. Gotta love it. Okay, I'm going to hand this back over to Zane and Alan in a couple of minutes. I just want to thank everybody for being part of this panel. You shared some great traffic sources, some methods, some strategies, some ideas. You shared what works for you, what doesn't work for you, what you teach your clients, what you recommend, and you got personal, you got deep. Everybody here has been very inspiring and very motivational, and I know that the people watching got a lot out of this. So thank you, each and every one of you. We're going to be back tomorrow with another hangout as we continue this series, and in the meantime, I'm handing it back over. Zane, Alan, take it away. Shut her down.
Awesome. All right, yeah, let's shut this thing down. So thank you again, Heather, and welcome back, Alan, or I should say John Rizzo impersonator.
I'm the pseudo John.
The pseudo John. So yeah, at this point, and nice body figures, right? At this point, pretty much we're done with everything. So feel free to stick around and hang out with us if you'd like. Again, this is meant for anybody who wants to say get some extra footage. Maybe if there's a product that you're working on, something like that. We're already recording, so I can edit this up and we can use it for your purposes later. Or if some other questions come up, there were a few on the event page. So again, those of you who are in the panel, feel free to leave. No one's going to get mad at you or no one's going to cry about it. But if you want to stick around and chat and answer questions, by all means, feel free to stick around. For those of you who are still watching, please subscribe to the channel. We've got 2 more days of this awesomeness coming up. So if you subscribe to the YouTube channel, then you'll be updated, and YouTube will do it, and Alan won't have to do it for YouTube. So also, we want to invite you over to the Fantastic 40 community. That's where we are all urging to everybody to get together. If these conversations are pretty cool here, then we can continue them on. And the panelists that are here, if you have products that you want to introduce to the community, we've already said that we wanted to start this with if there are products out there that will help people. We don't want to be shy about promoting, right? I mean, we do make money selling products, but we do also know that there are high-quality products out there, and I think all of you have those high-quality products. So if we all hang out in the community after this, and you have questions or you want to know more about the panelists' products, again, join the community. You'll be able to find more and be a part of more, as well as more events that we're doing in the future. So with that said, Alan, do you want to say anything more about our sponsor before we get into some more questions?
Well, first I just wanted to really thank InVids for joining us and sponsoring and helping make this possible. Not to mention the efforts that you've put in, Zane, Heather's great work as moderator. I could not have done this alone. Let me tell you guys, I'm looking at everybody that's here tonight, and I've been hosting this for 3 nights now, and I used to throw parties a lot, and usually what happened was we just emptied a keg. And right now, this is the first time I've thrown 3 parties in a row where I actually filled something, which is my head. It's wonderful. You know, if we were together, I do understand there'd probably still be a keg involved too. So thankfully, we're actually separated enough where we're going to stay clear-headed. But what a great group of people! What great fun! I hope I can see it in all of you, and I've seen it every night. You're having a good time hanging together too, and that was part of my plan because some of my best times took place in the green rooms when I was speaking, and I wanted the audience to be able to pull access, and I thank all of you for helping make that possible. This is going, you know, the recordings of this are going to be available for months. People are going to continue enjoying what we've done here for months to come. kudos to all of you and to InVids for helping us make it possible.
Excellent, excellent. All right. So with that said, I do have the event page pulled up with a few questions. So for those of you who are still here and want to chime in, someone was asking. Yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to make one more quick point.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's quick, I promise.
All right.
Anybody viewing this video, there's a bunch of gifts that these great people brought. They didn't even, I mean, they're not only bringing all this knowledge, but there's some gifts, incredible discounts. I totaled it up. It's near $10,000 worth that we've been sending out in daily emails and the PDFs with the schedules that went out daily. Sign up at thefantastic40.com. That's with the F or the 40, and register. And by the end of the event, we will have all of that in one PDF too to go out. So even if you didn't get day 1, 2, or 3, you'll get it all at the end, and you'll get the next ones. But by all means, partake in the gifts too. That's what partying is all about. Back to you.
Alrighty, awesome. I was just showing everybody the screen, the big old lineup of everybody, and then all the way down at the bottom, right here, bam. This is the form field right there. So thanks again for bringing that up, because yeah, we didn't even have a chance. We were getting so involved in the discussion. There was a bunch of gifts that we didn't even get to mention. So thank you for mentioning that. So with that said, I'm looking at the Fantastic 40 event page. There's been a couple people who've been using this feature and asking us questions. One of which I'm not sure of. Someone says, "Is it true that Facebook ads aren't showing up on mobile?" That doesn't sound right to me, but maybe I'm wrong. Does anybody?
Not true at all.
In fact, it's showing up way more on mobile. heavy mobile.
Okay, all right, good. Okay, problem solved. I was kind of hoping that question would have gone a little bit further, but it didn't. Is there anybody else, while I'm digging around for another question here? Is there anybody?
That's one thing. I was going to say that was one question I answered on the page, and my answer was, I don't know. I hope the panel does.
Right.
Thanks, Bob.
Yeah.
That's one thing I'm never afraid of. I'm sure you guys too. If somebody asks me a question I don't know the answer, I'm very proud to announce I don't know that. But
actually, Alan, I just got word from Facebook. They've made plenty of money, so they don't need to show any more ads. Right?
You read that on the internet, right?
Yeah.
Must be true.
Awesome.
I should probably sell my Facebook stock now then.
Yeah, you better.
You're in the clear, man. Just make it happen, right? All right. So I was just going to ask though, was there any points for any of you that you wanted to continue on, or again, even anything that maybe a product of yours that you've created that would address some of the things that we've been talking about, specifically traffic generation, SEO, anything like that you might want to bring up. Now is the time.
It's the first time a room full of marketers were given the opportunity to pitch, and everyone was quiet.
Hey, maybe it's because we've been at this for 2 hours and 15 minutes. That
could be it.
Right. But I figure there's a lot of content being delivered, and great products complement great content. So I believe all of you have great products available. So again, doesn't have to be mentioned here. Like I said, the conversation can continue in the community, and there was a lot of buzz around this particular day, because I believe, and Alan, you and I were talking about this earlier, that every marketer who's made money, which is obviously all the people on this panel, like, you have to have traffic or leads. I mean, they're basically the one and the same, right? So you need some sort of source of people coming to you, or flagging people down, like with ads. Like you need that source, or else like nothing happens. So I think there are just as many marketers who understand that, who have advice for it, as people who are demanding for it. So it's been a very, very interesting conversation. But again, feel free. These conversations, again, after the fact, are meant for just extra footage.
Well, I'll just say in the to break up the crickets chirping, that I wanted to point out that, by the way, my company, LifePath Books, handles complete publication beginning to end of books for busy executives, professionals, and entrepreneurs, because that is content and it is the ultimate lead generator in my mind. That's particularly for larger ticket or one-on-one or service business. It's one of the ideal ways to do it, and usually most people involved in those businesses don't have the time to finish a book or write one completely. And we offer not only ghostwriting and editing, but we'll edit your written manuscript, we'll ghostwrite it, edit it. We work with a number of people. We've got 20 books out now, and I think there's 3 in the works, 4 in the works right now, and more coming in. So we're happy to work with people. Be sure and do check out lifepathbooks.com, because, by golly, that's another one of our sponsors. Hint, hint.
Very cool. Good. Good. All right. Well, I am not seeing any more questions, but I am seeing Ron Douglas with his Dr. Seuss hat. Oh, okay. Now it's a time. Right. He's found the Google effects, right? It's the same app that has things like you know, the. But with that said, we're going to go ahead. Let's call this discussion over, right? We'll bang a gong and we'll celebrate Ron's birthday. Every time I click on your face, you take off the effect. All right. Now,
is that cool? You like that?
There it is.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, this stuff is all new to me. I'm trying to figure out this Hangout stuff, man. I'm not the YouTube nerd yet like you.
Right. Well, you know, there only needs to be 1 or 2 nerds out there to make sure that everything works, right? So.
Yeah, but be careful, Zane. I sense there's a new one in the making here.
Right. Me and
working on it, man. Trying to be YouTube scholar.
Me and Justin might have to do one of those Highlander battles or something like that. There can only
There
be
you go.
one. Right. All right. So now
you know you're a nerd when the science fiction references start coming in.
Right. That's also a really good sign to say, okay, since there's no more questions that are coming up in real time, all of you have been awesome, but I'm going to go ahead and stop broadcast. For those of you who are in the panel, know that when I hit stop broadcast, we'll still be in the Hangout, and you have to click the little X button in the top, unless you want to have a private chat with me and all of our awesome friends, but whatever. All right, so few strange last minutes here. Oh, got to get the Ron with the pirate eye.
Mm.
Okay. Right. So thanks again, everybody. Bob and Gene and John/Alan, Justin, Lee, Mark, Ron, and Ross. Again, my name is Zane Miller. I'm the producer of this whole crazy thing. Thank you so much for being here, and we will see you tomorrow. Bye.